Welcome to episode 11. So just as a little review, it is March in year 3, or in other words, it's our second full year on the farm. So it's March. We've got a lot of field work to do. We've got the field over there right across the street, and it's already got canola planted. This field here, though, needs a bunch of field work done. The field across the street over there needs field work done. And then our 3 fields over here need field work done and combined together. And I'd like to do some logging I'd like to do some logging first and then combine them together because I can make it, quite a bit bigger with just a little bit of logging. But not only do we need to do all this field work today, because tomorrow or next month will be time to plant, but we've got grass field over here ready to go. And I want to go ahead and I want to go up here so here's our farm, right? Here's all of our fields. I want to go right up here to field 16 and I'm going to buy this field. And I'm just going to visit the gas station here. And what we just did... Oh, I should have visited the bakery. What we just did was we bought this piece of property right here, right across the street from the bakery, and we bought this field back here. I don't necessarily care about this field. We're going to take the field, we're just going to plant grass there, and we're going to make that a grass field. But what I'll do off camera is I'm going to level this, even with the road, and basically chop this whole hill off, and I'll cut all the trees down, and for now, I'll just throw the trees back on the field. And we're going to put a sawmill here, a big one, a big sawmill. So that's going to be our first big production, is to do that. I will do that off camera. But before we get to that... I also bought, because we're going to be needing it soon, I bought a whole bunch of lime and a little bit of solid fertilizer and a little bit of seed, because I know we're going to need a lot of that. Over here at the store, I want to get some new equipment to kind of speed up all this field work. So I've got our tedder, and I've got our plow, and I've got our cultivator. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell all 3 of these. I believe we had this tedder here, which was 8.2 meters for 15,000, and for 25,000, I can go to 11. And the 11 is the widest one, other than this one at 17. I don't need one that wide. Okay, our grass fields aren't that big, but just getting a little bit bigger of a tedder for not much more money is going to make a pretty good difference there. So I'm going to buy that. The other thing is, I try to play the episodes to test stuff out, and in my testing I had an issue with our new John Deere baler and the wrapper, and then I was gonna try to get a trailer to haul the bales, and I had an issue, so I uninstalled a whole bunch of bale mods that we weren't going to use, auto loading trailers, and just anything that had anything to do with bales that I wasn't going to use. And I'm going to try it again. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy, because there's 2 mods. I've got the John Deere baler. I've got this baler, right? And we already bought this with the accumulator on the back. And then I've got a mod, the custom bale support pack. And it literally says it works with the John Deere baler. And I had bought a different wrapper than this one. I believe this is the wrapper I need. And this one should definitely work. We are not wrapping bales right now. We are going to bale that grass field all as hay, because I already have a bunch of silage in the silage pit, so I don't need to do this. But I do want to wrap one just to test it and make sure it works. And I already got rid of the old wrapper by uninstalling the mod. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and send him back to the farm with all of that. That's everything we'll need for the grass field. Once I've got the grass field harvested, because that custom bale support mod also comes with this trailer for round bales. And in my testing, this did not work with the John Deere bales. So that's why I kind of stopped and I was like, okay, hold on, I'm not sure about this. So once I get one bale, I'll bring it to the shop and we'll test it with that off camera before I buy that trailer again. But then the other thing is we need to get our stuff back that we just sold. So what we're going to do for field work, because I got rid of the plow and the cultivator. So I still need a plow for creating fields, right? And I also, the field that's right next to the farm that was 3 fields and we already combined, it had like texture problems for a full year. And we're getting ready to combine 3 more fields. And I don't want to look at all those weird textures. So I want to plow the whole field. And using the plow that we had that's only 6 meters, it's just going to take a lot longer to plow that huge field. So I wanted to go with a bigger plow. Now there is like this 22 and 26 one, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Yeah, we're going to go from a 6 meter to an 8.5 meter. And, you know, I downloaded a bunch of different ones. And the issue with these, and as much as I like the way that looks, it's like, okay, that actually looks realistic. It's not actually a plow, though. It's a ripper. But trying to back up and get a square edge when you are trying to create a field, you don't want something like that, right? You don't want something like this. You know, this looks great, too. Again, that's a ripper, not a plow. But I want something that's attached to the 3-point. And, yeah, we could totally use this. But, I mean, come on. Look at that. That's a cultivator. That's definitely not a plow. So anyways, I'm going to go with this one, and it attaches to the 3-point. Now, what I'm going to start doing with equipment, I did just buy the wrapper, and I probably shouldn't have, but I'm going to use this mod here that lets us finance it, and I can pick how much I want to put down. I can pick how many years I want to finance it, and then kind of like a lease on a car where you have a big in payment. If you keep it, I can decide how big my in payment is. And that's going to let us buy a bunch of equipment and still have money left to be able to buy the sawmill. So that's going to be our plow. It's only for creating fields. Now, before we had a cultivator, and we still need a cultivator, but I want to do things realistic, the way it's done in my area. In my area, in the fall, after you harvest, you run a disc through the field to chop up the residue, vertical tillage, right? Especially like cornfields. You got to chop the corn stalks up. You can't just let them sit there all winter and then run a cultivator in the spring. So I'm using a disc. Now, in game, the disc is a cultivator, and then the cultivator is a cultivator. So we're going to kind of cultivate the field twice, which there's no reason to do that in game. So I found a reason to do it. Basically, with this Landall mod, it's a mulcher and a disc. So if we run this in the fall, and we're going to run it today because we didn't run it in the fall, but if we run this in the fall, it's going to cultivate the field, sure, but it's going to mulch the field, right? So that's going to get us a mulch status, and it's going to kind of give us a reason to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing, and I'm pretty much, I think, going to do the same options each time. Now, in the spring, we need to cultivate, right? And what I found is this, which is a cultivator, but it also takes fertilizer. It's technically, it's not even a cultivator. It's a strip tiller. Okay, it's a strip tiller. It's not a cultivator. But we're going to do this, and this is going to, again, it's going to cultivate the field for a second time in the spring, but it's going to apply our fertilizer. So instead of having to drive around and spread the fertilizer, we'll do it with this step. Now, this is slower than spreading the fertilizer. So I just want to be very clear, because somebody's going to comment and go, you know, if you did it this way, it would be faster. Yes, 100%. The way I'm doing it, I'm adding an extra step, and then I'm using 2 specific pieces of machinery to justify that extra step. And you could absolutely do it faster. And the only reason that I'm using these 2 things, and I'm doing one in the fall and one in the winter, one in the fall and one in the spring, is just because that's how it would be done in my local area. And I need to send the other tractor back here. Okay, let me get this stuff back to the farm. And while the 2 big tractors are bringing equipment, I'm going to put the medium tractor on the mower here, and we'll just start mowing this. And I've got all of our stuff up, lined up over there. So this guy can be mowing this field while I'm trying to figure out how to get all this new stuff back to the farm. So like I said a minute ago, we would normally run this tool in the fall, but we didn't have it in the fall. So we're going to run it now. Now this field, I think, is technically already mulched, so we're not really doing anything, but we're following this pattern because this is how it would work in real life in my area. So I got this guy disking this field. It's going to get us the mulch status, which we kind of already have. So we're not really accomplishing a lot there, but at least, you know, we'll get him started. So we'll mulch this field, then I'll have him jump over and mulch. Well, we're going to plow that field and then mulch it. I think it's okay. I think it's all together as one field, like as far as the different little fields go, texture-wise, because they all look the same. But I'm going to plow it just in case. But I need to get this guy going here. Yeah, okay. Let me come back in a minute. I need this guy to finish. Well, I want this tractor over there on the grass because that guy can run the mower, but that guy cannot run that windrower or tedder very well, especially going up and down hills. But that guy also can't run the plow, or could he run the disc? I kind of need 3 tractors. I know. I'm going to buy another tractor in a second. So I'm going to get this guy plowing. I don't think I need to plow this field because it does look like it's all one texture finally, but, you know, why not? And one of the things we'll do And I don't know that the plow... No, I'm just going to use a regular worker and let him do whatever he wants. We'll wait for the disc, because what I did with the disc was I used course play, and I told it to round the corners, and you're not going to be able to tell right now until he does the headlands, but I told him to really round off the corners, and then we'll come back and we'll paint the quarters in with grass. And it's going to help. I'll explain when we get to that point, but we'll let that guy plow. He's still... Yeah, I need to buy a third tractor. I wasn't going to buy a third one of these, and we're kind of going New Holland, I guess. I've never done a New Holland playthrough. I've always been John Deere or Case, but I really like this tractor. I mean, I was looking, I'm like, okay, if we're going to buy a tractor, what else do we have? And I was looking, I'm like, oh, you know, we could go with one of these. I mean, 400,000 isn't bad, and then later we could upgrade it or this or whatever, but it's like for the price, for 189,000, and it's 350 horsepower, and we can go to 430 later. I mean, I can't justify spending that much money because we just upgraded our tools to work with this size tractor. I don't need a bigger tractor. I don't know that I'm going to need really a bigger tractor on this map. So I'm going to buy a third one of these. I think that's the way to go. And, you know, eventually we'll come in and we'll drop 50 grand on each one to up them in horsepower. But I kind of like it too that they're all identical. So if I need, you know, I need the front loader, I don't have to figure out which one's which if I just make all three identical. And that's kind of why I've been doing the wheels all identical, because obviously I don't need three of them like this with the narrow fronts, or with the narrow twins. I mean, I was reading it and talking and not thinking. Yeah, so we'll just buy a third one, get both of our beacon lights, and we'll do this again. Now we are going to have a pretty hefty monthly cost. We'll probably be up around $10,000 a month. You know, it is what it is. I need a lot of stuff so I can do a lot of things at once. All right, let me get this guy back to the farm so he can take over on grass stuff in a second. Oh, one minor upgrade I made was I switched our pressure washer out. I finally found the mod. I saw somebody else's playthrough where they had this mod, and it took me a minute to find it, but it's the same pressure washer we had, okay, except it has a 3-point attachment, which is cool because I can pick it up and I can move it around really fast by putting it on the 3-point. But also it dual wields, so it cleans faster, and it has a much longer hose on it. I mean, it doesn't have a physical hose, but you know what I mean. It has a much longer hose, so I can go a lot farther away. So I really like that. It's basically the same price. And I mean, you know, as someone who's played a lot of video games, being able to dual wield, even though there's like no reason for it, is funny. And you may have noticed down in the bottom left, I've got a new mod, Simple Inspector, I think it's called, and it lets me see what's going on. Like, I can see what everybody's doing, any tractor that's on. So I think that this tractor's on, so yeah, it shows up in the list. And that's why it was showing as 0 miles an hour. And then the other one that's 0 miles an hour is the Challenger. But the two that are on and working, I can see they're working. I can see the one guy's on a worker, the New Holland, but I only see he's going 7 miles an hour. So I don't know what he's doing, but if he's moving, I know he's not messed up. The course play one, I can actually see there's 5 minutes left in that course. So I really like that mod because if you got a bunch of AI workers, you can kind of glance down there and you can see they're still working. If you saw a basic worker and it said 0 miles an hour for a while, you would probably be like, let me go and see what that guy's doing. All right, so I will get this guy to TED this. I did drop all of my equipment there to stage it and not really consider that guy's plowing that field. So I'm gonna use the Challenger to move some of the stuff off the field. All right, get you going on that. The next thing we'll need is the windrower. So let me just move it out of the way. I'll probably just park it across the street here in this little parking lot thing because we actually own this, right? But let me move those things over there before the plow gets there and hits them. I'm gonna go ahead and unload this guy over here because I need this trailer. So one of the things is, I always say that, one of the things. So our next little problem to tackle, I guess, is this, the reason we got the, let me start over. So the reason we got the round baler was because our little bale storage building over there, which looks like it's 99% empty, is almost full because it only holds 600 bales, regardless of how small they are. So we needed to go from the little bales to the big bales. So I need to get those bales out of there, and we have hay and straw in there. right? And in order to make the TMR, we need hay, straw, and silage. I've got the silage pit. That's plenty of silage for the year. So I don't need to wrap any of the things. So we're just going to bale all the hay and make big hay bales and put them in there. And then later in the year, we'll get some straw and we'll get big straw bales. But for now, I need to empty all of those hay bales and almost all of the straw bales. And one of the things with this trailer, I really like this trailer, but the tension straps or the ratchet straps are too far apart with those little bales and they fall, because I tested this. They fall bad. And this thing has wood supports, which clearly based on the name is, I'm guessing, for logs. And I don't know if the mod maker intended this or not. I kind of don't think they did. I kind of think it's just random, but it just so happens that the way where the ratchet straps are and then where these stakes are, it pretty much holds all of those little bales. And I don't think that was intentional, because on one of the rows, didn't I just press Q? Come on, man. On one of the rows, it just barely does it. So I don't think it's intentional. I'll show you in just a second. Let me get this guy over here and then I'll get some bales out. So one of the things is when you load this, it turns the straps off to load the trailer. So if you had the trailer halfway loaded and then tried to load more in the back, it would turn the straps off in the front. And as the bales plop down on the trailer, physics is on and it kind of jiggles the trailer around. And so the bales can move around and fall. So you could see those first two rows, they're both strapped. This next row it's going to put on, though, there's no strap there, but that stake barely catches it. And then the fourth row would be strapped. So what would happen is, as you were loading the trailer, by the time you were loading bales back here, these bales would start to fall off the trailer, even with the truck off and not moving. Oh, it looks like course play's done. All right, let me get out. And like I said, we're going to sell all the hay. And we're going to sell almost all the straw because I don't really need that much. We don't have that many cows. Yeah, so this is why I don't think it was intentional by the mod author. It just happens to work, because if you were doing it intentionally, you would have actually made them line up. But I don't expect anybody to, when you're making an auto load trailer for bales or whatever, I don't expect you to consider these little bales, because probably most people aren't using these little bales. It looks like this guy's done. Yeah, so let me drive you over to that corner, and yeah, you can see how he rounded the corner off. So a lot of times with courseplay or with the workers, they'll try to round around the corners because it's faster, but then you end up, if you have like 4 headlands, they'll miss a spot, they'll miss like a little spot, miss a little spot, miss a little spot. So I like to, at some point, once I've got my bigger equipment and I know I'm going to keep my equipment for a while, I'll tell them to do this, and then we'll just paint this all in with grass. And that way, even if I hire a regular worker, they'll just drive that corner around. Because you end up, if with a hired worker, they'll spend 2 minutes trying to get you that little bit of extra field right there. And it's really not worth it. The little tiny bit of yield you lose versus how much longer it takes every time you do field work. And it looks like he kind of messed up here. And I'll fix that. All right, hold on. I think this is because I set it to 1 headland. So he was trying to like turn and come in, and he didn't have enough time to turn and get lined up. I should have done 2 headlands, but the reason I didn't was because I was doing this curve. All right. And you can see it's taken until we get almost to the back. But as we get almost to the back, if you look about in the middle of the trailer there, you can see how those bales, see, the whole trailer's kind of wobbling and the bales are moving around. And oh, look, that one's about to try to fall. The strap turned on just in time to stop it from falling. But if we didn't have those wood supports on the side, this row here, nothing would be holding those bales. Nothing would be holding those bales. And nothing would be holding those bales. That strap is crazy. All right, well, anyways, the trailer's full. I need to take this over and sell it. We'll get like 50 grand, mainly from the hay, and then I'll come back and grab some more straw. But I think he's almost done. He's done. So let me get a bunch of stuff going again. I'm going to try something here. It's not easy to use this windrower with a worker of any kind, but I set this up with courseplay with 2 headlands, and I told the course to do the center first and then do the headlands last. Except I switched courseplay to nearest waypoint, and then I'm going to come over here, and it looks like this would be his last thing, and then he would start the headlands. So I'm going to start him there so that he literally just does 2 headlands, and then stops. And that should throw everything into the middle if I've picked the right spot. Because I want to see him go back down this line. And we'll see if that happens. Actually, no. I take that back. I need him to do the outer one first. I'm going to start him here. He's going to do the outer pass and push the whole field in and then stop. And then I'm going to start him again and have him do the second pass. Basically, I want to try to push the whole field into the center and then tell him to do in the ups and downs. And I think that will work. Because otherwise, he's going to make a giant mess of it. It's almost worth going back to the other windrower. I like what this does, but on this field, it's a mess because it's so tiny. All right, anyways, let me go sell those bales. Okay, and the price, I don't remember which, between the hay and the straw, the price on one is better here, and the price on one is better at the other place that's real far away, but it's barely better, and so it just makes way more sense to go there. So yeah, 46,000, I've got to load up like a quarter of a load of straw and bring it back, and that's not going to bring that much in, so let me get this guy back to the farm. I'm going to go ahead. There's really no reason to disc this field because we just plowed it, but just for consistency, and I don't know, I want them all look the same. I really have no reason. I'm going to have this guy go ahead and do it. And I'm going to have him do the same thing he did in the other field where I set him up, and I think, yeah, it's still set to corner radius 12, and it's set to 1 headland. So that'll give me those curves again. So if I generate, yeah, it gives me those nice curves in the corner. And then I'll just tell him to get started as he's on first waypoint, right? Oh, I didn't press the one to start it, but that's fine. Nope. Now you're on nearest waypoint. First waypoint, buddy. There you go. And the plow's done, so let's get him off the field. Oh, we missed a little bit of grass right there. Let me just get this guy out of the way, even though he shouldn't be doing headlands first anyway. Let's fold this plow up. So I should be able to, and I could maybe do the up downs now. My issue, the reason I'm trying to do this is if you have it do the up downs and the grass is all the way out, you're going to end up with grass way outside. So I was trying to kind of condense it in. No, I think I'll do my original plan because I kind of want to see what it does. There's a good chance I go back to the other windrower. Or can I do this one to the center? Mode is right. Middle. No, I should have this one set to the middle. That's what I should do. So if I keep it like exactly how it is, and I tell it to go to the first waypoint, I think that's going to work. I think that's going to do what I want. Who else needs something to do? You. We need to reload you. Okay, hold on. We got a lot going on here. All right, there's 14 bales of straw left. I'm just going to leave those 14. That should be more than enough for our TMR, and that thing's empty. So let me go sell this. Oh, my frame rate's dropping. Somebody was trying to pathfind a corner or something there. Let me go sell this, and then we'll see where we're at. I got too many things going on at once. Okay, get these sold off. Not going to make much because it's just straw. 18,000, not bad. And I did say, I don't know, a long time ago, we're not baling straw to sell it to make money because it's not realistic, because that's not how it works in real life. Like, you don't make money from straw. Because in game, if you plant a wheat field, you can make almost as much money as from straw as you can from the wheat, which is just ridiculous. The only reason I sold that is because I got to get rid of those little bales because my bale storage is full. That's the only reason. I want to get set up to log because I want to get those trees moved and get the sawmill made because I need to basically chop a bunch of trees down over across the street here where we're going to combine the 3 fields before I can start doing all that field work. And I got to get all that field work done today/this month. So we definitely got to get that going. So let me get this guy up here, and I need to get the log trailer up here. This is going to be a much, much larger sawmill, but it's still very easy to just overwhelm it to where it's going to take it a year. So we will still probably, on the big trees where it's real easy to just load a giant chunk of wood and go sell it, we'll probably still do that. But at the very least, I need to get these all out of the way just so I can terraform and stuff and then put the sawmill down. So let me get this guy up here, get the truck up here, then see where we're at. And I guess technically instead of using the log trailer, I could use this. This does have shorter stakes, but I think in real life, you wouldn't use this trailer to load logs on because you would beat the crap out of it. Because this is too nice of a trailer, so I'm just going to park it, maybe, and then try to get the log trailer. Plus, we already own the log trailer. And I will just, I guess, leave the stakes on. I don't really see a reason to take the stakes off. It might look funny when we have pallets on there, but if we had the pallets of like long planks, then it probably looks appropriate. I don't remember which way. Oh, yeah, okay, here's this guy. Jeez, my frames are not doing too good here. This guy just finished, and yeah, that's pretty decent. Let me turn all these lines off because it's hard to look at. I think I want to keep that course because I think I could bale that course. But yeah, I think if I hadn't have done that, he was going to push grass farther out of the field. Because like even up here where we didn't quite get it all in. That's a lot though. See, that's the problem is that's too many. That's too many. Because that's too much up and down on this little field. Man, I'm having a lot of trouble clicking my middle mouse. All right, let me go put this guy back and then we can get the baler. And yeah, this guy's having problems again because I set it to one headland that he cannot turn and get lined back up and get that thing in the ground. So it's a little bit off, but I don't really care right now. We end up cultivating the field twice and that counts as a mulch, but I don't think there's anything to mulch. So whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not going to put this guy in course play because I forgot the accumulators on here. So I've got it set. Number one, I have the mod, so when we get to 100% on a bale, it stops the tractor. I have the baler itself set to automatic drop. So when we get to 100%, it's going to stop the tractor. The bale's going to finish. The baler's going to open. It's going to drop the bale out onto the accumulator. The accumulator I have to drop manually. The purpose of the accumulator, because I just want to explain because we really don't need an accumulator on this field. But the purpose of the accumulator is on a big field. So imagine this field, but it's 10 times as big. You end up dropping, oh, there's a bale here and here and here and here. But when you come back, they don't line up. It's in between, right? And then it's in between and it's in between and it's in between. And you end up with just bales kind of all over the place. And when you have to go pick those bales up, you basically have to drive every square inch of the field. The purpose of the accumulator is you can collect 3 bales, right? The first one that pops out comes into the middle, gets pushed to the side. The next one comes out, pushes to the side. The third one pops out into here. You could technically get a 4th bale that's full, but you then would have to drop the accumulator, drop that bale, and then drop the accumulator. So really, realistically 3. And the purpose is that you would hold them until you get to a spot and you would drop all 3 together. Yes, but you wouldn't drop 3 here, drop 3 here, drop 3 here. You would try to make it all the way down and back and drop 3 and make it all the way down and back and drop 3 and so on. So all your bales are on this end. Or if the field is too big to go all the way down and back, maybe you can only make one length. Well, so what if you started in the middle and you went half and half and then you drop 3 and then half and half and drop 3. So then all your bales would be in the middle. Okay, the field's too big for that. Okay, well now drop them all on each end, right? So that's kind of the point of the accumulator is to collect all your bales either on one end, the other end, in the middle. Like on a giant field, you might have them a bunch on the end, a bunch at a third, a bunch at 2/3, a bunch at an end, but you don't have to drive all over the place trying to pick up bales. They're all together. I don't need the accumulator. I've used this mod. I've used this John Deere baler many times. So when I saw that someone made a mod, and I think it's custom modding that made this one, when I saw there was a mod for it for 25 and they added the accumulator, which I've never used before, I'm like, yes, we've got to get this. We don't really need the accumulator. And I don't know that the accumulator is going to be a benefit because I don't know what it's going to do to a course player or a helper. For this little spot, it's cool. The accumulator makes sense because I can drop all my bales in one spot. But that's also not really necessary. So anyways, I guess let me, before I time lapse this, let me see what everybody else is doing. So I think we've got consider this the fall tillage, right? The disc is the fall tillage. We've got our fall tillage done. So this field is ready for what we would do in the spring. This field in front of me is ready for what we would do in the spring. I'm going to drive this thing over to the new field that's going to be right next to the sawmill that we just bought. And I'm going to run this in that field and get it ready for the spring. And then I'll do a little time lapse and we'll bale. And then I've got to get that land leveled and the sawmill built so we can do some logging over here so I can get fall tillage going. Well, I got to plow that field. I guess we'll skip the fall tillage on that field. Just need to plow that field. And then we'll be ready to do our spring work. So far in this episode, we haven't even started the stuff that we would normally do in the spring, just because I didn't have this tool to do it in the fall. And yeah. Oh, and I didn't mention it, but this field has beets growing in it. And that's number one. I don't care what it is. I would probably make this a grass field because it's not that big and it's, it's so far away and we're going to need more grass. But I'm 100% not harvesting beets. So that's why we're just plowing this under. Yeah, I'm just stopping the time lapse. This is still not. It's too curvy. It's too tight. And the reason I was trying to not do the whole purpose of the windrower. I don't even know what to say. The whole purpose of the windrower going all the way to one side was that you could make basically a pass down and a pass back and turn two passes into one windrow. But it's too big of a windrow for this baler. Ironically, the little baler did it a little bit better, and it just depends on the mod author. Like, you can tell physically this thing accepts grass from this point to this point, but when the mod author makes the mod, do they make I'll call it the hitbox that wide? Sometimes they make them wider. I think that and again, I think this is custom modding. I think they made the hitbox or with the trigger or whatever you want to call it the actual physical right size, which makes it a little more challenging. Hi, Editor Ken here from the future. So I just wanted to open this mod real quick in the Giants editor just to show what I'm talking about. So when you make a mod, there's a whole lot to it, and I'm no expert by any means, but one of the things is you have to define a work area. So for a plow, normally you would take like the width of the plow and you would set the work area to the width of the plow. If you've ever seen one of those unrealistic plows where the plow is 6 meters wide, but it plows 24 meters wide, it's just because they set the work area to 24 meters wide. So for example, on this baler, the work area, and it's a little confusing to look from there. It's easier to kind of look from the front. The work area, there's one edge of the work area is just that dot. And there's the other. So between this line and this line is the work area, which is literally exactly where it should pull the grass in, right? So that's why it pulls it in from there. So if your windrow is bigger than that, it's going to leave the outside bits. And so, yeah, I could just take and I could drag that out, and I could take the other one and drag it out and save that. And I think that's the only spot that you would have to adjust. There could be another area somewhere where you have to make a change. It could be in an XML or something. I'm not for sure. I'm not a modder by any means. I think that might be the only thing. But if I saved that, because I got this off ModHub, every time I go into Farming Simulator, it's going to show that this version is out of date, and it's going to keep wanting to update it with the quote-unquote newer version, which is the actual version. So if you wanted, you either have to deal with that annoyance, or you would have to change a couple other things so that Farming Simulator thinks this is a separate mod. I'm not going to do that. I just kind of wanted to show it real quick, though, and explain why. And the other thing is, and you can tell right there, like the windrower, it's wider than the baler. So I have to try to stay to one side and get all of one side as far as I can to the other and leave a little strip on just one side and then come back. But the other issue is this tractor with the dual tires, it's much harder to see where I'm at on the windrow. When you only have a single tire on each side, you can kind of judge it a little easier, but I'm just looking at all tires and I can't tell where I'm at. So this is a bit of a mess. I really like this mod, but yeah, it's just, you can't have these giant windrows like this. Like the little windrows up there where I complained at first, I'm like, oh, that's too many. No, that's probably going to be about right. Oh, hold on. This is a problem. I wasn't even paying attention. I've made a huge mistake. Hold on. Those are probably going to roll down the hill too, aren't they? Jeez. Let me just do this off camera because I'm trying to talk and I'm making a huge mess. This is 100% going to work. We're going to keep this mod. I like this mod. Custom modded makes great mods, so I'm not complaining about the mod maker. It's just that I'm making the windrows too big, and we just have to make an adjustment to that. So it's just how it's going to be. But let me just do this off camera because it's going to be a terrible time lapse because I'm going to have to drive back and forth a bunch of times on these giant windrows. I'm missing so many little bits here and there that I actually brought the other tractor back with the windrower, and I'm having him run the same course again just because there's so many little bits all over the place. And it should, like anywhere where I kind of went down the middle and I had like a strip on the left and the right, he'll combine them back together and they'll be smaller. Like I said, this would not be that bad if I knew in the first place how narrow this baler was going to be. And I didn't make those giant windrows. That was my fault. And also, this field, it's just this field too. This is not the field for bigger equipment, honestly. That's why I'm going to do that other field as grass. And I mean, I guess we'll keep doing this field as grass, but So for example, like over here, you can see how messed up that is, right? There's just like, I would have to go up and down that like 3 times, and he should be able to make that one pass for me. Oh, I still missed that little bit. Yeah, that'll be like 1 pass now. So I think it was worth bringing that guy back over. And this trailer is not the trailer to haul bales with, I've discovered, because it wants to stack them like that. And, yeah, in real life, no, you can't stack these side by side. They hang off. Like if you were trying to be legal and like drive down the highway, but farmers don't have to follow the width laws, obviously, because look how wide tractors are. So, yeah, I'll have to find a bale trailer that lets me stack them realistically, which is they hang way off of both sides and they pile them way too high too. And I've also got the mod that lets me unload the bale early. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that bale out, even though it's only 30%. But I'm going to drop it over here separately because I don't want to put that one in the barn. I'm just going to throw that one directly into the TMR wagon. And I think I got it all. This will be fine next time. I just need to know ahead of time that this is kind of different and I need to, make adjustments. I don't know that I'm going to use the accumulator because then I have to do it manually, and I could, set this up on a worker and get him to do it. It's just going to drop bales everywhere, which is fine, and we'll have to do something different. Now I'm going to test the bale trailer that I want to test, but it didn't work before, so we'll see. And I am going to bring the wrapper over and we're going to wrap 1 pallet just to verify that we can wrap these bales. Because even though these are 1.8 meter bales, which is a standard size, which by the way, how's that I did set this to 1.8 meters, didn't I? These are 1.5 meter bales. Oh, I made these bales too small. I noticed it as soon as I walked up to it. These are supposed to be 1.8 meter bales. These are 1.5s. We're gonna sell all these bales. None of these bales are going in the barn. We're selling all these bales. I messed that up. Well, these are supposed to be 1.8 meter bales, which is a standard height bale, but they're wider than normal, which is realistic. Again, that's just one of my little rants with Giants is they're European, so they make stuff for Europe, but then they know they have this huge customer base in America, but they don't take like a little bit of time just to like figure out what the standard is in America. Like FS19, the only bales in the base game were these little tiny bales. Do you want little round bales or little square bales? It's like neither of those exist in the United States. The only thing we have in the US is big round bales or big square bales, or yeah, we have those little tiny square bales like we just sold off. But yeah, because I think the default bale in FS19 was like 1.2 meters round bale. I don't know what that is. I've never seen anything like that. All right, so let me put this equipment up and sell all of these bales. And there's no reason to even test wrap in one of these because I don't care. I need to test wrap in a 1.8 meter bale. Ugh, I messed that up. Oh, I couldn't test wrapping them anyway because I made them all hay. You can't wrap a hay bale, right? I would have had to like kick one out as grass in the first place. And anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll just wait until the next time we harvest some grass, and then we'll make sure we do 1.8 meters. I'll test this, and then I'll test that trailer I was going to test. Where am I parking this at? I guess in the Quonset hut. So I will bring the TMR wagon over here, the mixing wagon, whatever, and we'll throw this partial bale in. I hope that doesn't mess it up too bad. That's not how you throw it in, though, is it? It's only a 30% bale. Okay, good. And it's still TMR. I was hoping I wasn't going to mess it up. I guess I didn't have to do that. I could have sold it since we're not putting them in the barn. Man, I'm all thrown off. I thought I had this all planned out. And then when I went through and tested it, it messed up because I couldn't get that bale to work with the trailer I wanted. And so I'm like, okay, let's do this again, but I'm not going to buy the trailer and all this. And then I didn't change it. It comes as 1.5 meter. Because when you first get in that baler, you have to turn the 1.5 meter bale to 1.8. You have to set it to auto drop the bales. You have to change another option. I don't remember. There's like 3 or 4 things you have to remember, and I forgot one of them. Well, I'll sell those bales, and then I need to, after I sell those bales, I'll just show you how much I made. And then I need to get that sawmill down, so I got to go and do some groundwork over there. Oh, look, we made them all fit. Yeah, I just didn't want to do another trip. I was thinking, so I could take the stakes off of this, and we could just use it just as a pallet trailer and not as a bale trailer. Or if I edit, because I know how to modify the auto load thing, right? We could make the auto load zone wider, and that would make the bales go side by side. But the problem is they're standing up, and I've never seen round bales, even though this is going to sound stupid, like something round. Of course you should transport it standing up because then you're not transporting it on the round side. But the reason they're always transported on the round side is because that's how you load and unload them. The same as those giant steel coils you see going down the road. And people always go, why don't they stand them up? Because it's really hard to stand them up, and then it's really hard to get them on and off the trailer once they're stood up, right? Like they need to be sideways. So even if I modify this and make it wide enough to hold the bales side by side, they're still not going to be on their side like they should be. So I think this is just going to be our pallet trailer, which means I can take the stakes off because the stakes do look a little funny with the pallets. But let me take the stakes off, put this back, and then finally I got to go over there. I got to cut trees down, and I got to get this sawmill made. This is taking forever. There is an auto load option for bale. I don't know if that would turn the bales sideways, though. I would have to test. So I guess next time we do bales, and I added this little thing. I don't really need it, but I added it because I can. We'll have to test next time and see if changing it to bale flips the bales the correct way. Maybe, maybe not. I do have a mod for a chainsaw here too. Instead of using the 261, it comes with a 661, which is it's a bigger engine. I'm pretty sure it's like 2 or 3 times the size engine CC wise, but it's got a much bigger bar. Don't quote me how big the bars are, but I'm going to say this is like a 24-inch bar, and this is like a 4-foot bar or something, and then ported. And I didn't look up the difference, and it definitely doesn't say, but usually if you say an engine's ported, it makes more horsepower. So I'm just going to assume that's what that means. And if we can find 2 identical trees, which is going to be difficult, I guess I could cut. Okay, so this is our normal. This is the 261. Yeah, so let me, we'll just cut it up high, and then I'll cut it again. That took like 3 seconds to cut. There's the big one. No, that still took like the same amount of time. Yeah. I thought it'd be faster. Maybe that's not possible. I mean, it sounds cooler. I'll give you that. It sounds cooler. I would say I've got my first load of logs. I think we're only going to get 2 loads of logs, and this is the bulk of the big trees. There's only like 1 or 2 more decent-sized trees. But this should be... Oh, I don't think I'm quite in the trigger for some of those pieces. This should be a pretty decent payday. I do have some other mod. I've got so many mods, I don't know. But you can look at the tree and it tells you the value and then it tells you the length. So like this is a $12,000 tree here. So it kind of gives you a good idea. Yeah, so we just made $42,000 off that. And there was a tree and it said it was worth $5,000 and it said the length was bad. And so I chopped it in half. And basically the value of the 2 halves, it went from $5,000 to like $7,000 just by cutting it in half. So that was pretty nice just to have that information. Like, yeah, you kind of know you're supposed to not have giant pieces, but seeing the value difference, it's like, oh, okay, I can spend like 10 seconds chainsawing that. But I've got a few more trees to cut down. Oh, I think it's time for a new semi, just because I can. Mainly because that other one, the top speed, I want to go faster. And this isn't that expensive, $65,000, and that's mainly just because I bumped the horsepower up. Oh, why are those eyes there? That I do not like at all. We'll modify that. We'll take that off. There was something and I was adding lights and then it said LED eye and I thought it meant like eyeball lights, like little, yeah, anyways. That truck is loud. I'm very happy. All right, actually change your plans. Based on how much I've recorded, we probably just need to break this into 2 episodes because I've still got to do 1, 2, I don't know about those trees, maybe 3, 4, 5 more trees over here, level this, build the sawmill, make roads, a parking lot, accessories. And then, yeah, and then we need to cultivate the fields and fertilize them and lime. Yeah, that's too much. So we'll just go ahead and, oh, I thought I dropped this trailer, taking this truck back. We'll just go ahead and stop the episode here and I'll just continue this on to episode 12. So see you guys next time.